All right. Hi, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to our online virtual open viewing tonight for the property at 110 Caroline Terrace in Edinburgh. I'm just going to give everybody just a few more seconds in case we have a few stragglers coming in. And then I will also just send you a quick message so that, you know, we're really just ready there, that if you do have any questions, you can interact, ask the questions via the chat feature. I'm here to kind of relay information, and if we need to stop and ask, obviously the homeowner, David, who's just there to kind of give us a tour. Hello. I can kind of pop in with questions. So please do feel free to interact on the chat feature there. You know, again, if you want to see any additional angles, if you want to ask any questions, if you really want any information additional about the house, clarity on any items about the brochure or the home report, or even anything that you're seeing, please do reach out. And this is really what it's here for, so that, you know, if and when we've got the in-person viewing booked in, that you are as prepared and ready to go, and that you can kind of get any questions, burning questions that you've got there. So David, I've got one more person that is just being added in just now, so we'll get them the chance to kind of add in. And let's start it here. So away you go.
Okay, good. Thanks, Zena. Well, I've done this a couple of times now. So what I'm going to do is make sure my Wi-Fi is off, because when I go around the house, I don't always get a signal. And I'm also going to plug in a microphone.
Oh, this is profesh. This is very good.
Yeah, well, you learn from your mistakes, right? Okay, can you still hear me, Zena?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, good. Right, well, let's go for a walk. What I'll do is turn the camera away from me, which should be a relief. Okay, right, we'll come back to the room with all the guitars shortly, but what I'll do is I'll take a walk and we'll start outside. So, because I think it's going to rain here. It's maybe brightened up a little bit, but okay. So I'm just going to check one more time, Zena, that you can still hear me, because I've walked away from the Wi-Fi now.
You're absolutely fine.
Right, great. Okay, well, welcome everyone. I think, as you've probably seen from the brochure, one of the nice things about living here for the last 12 years with small kids is we've got a lot of garden space front and back. And when we've got family over, we've been able to squeeze about 5 cars onto the driveway. You can see, looking at the house, that it's in 2 main pieces. You'll see the main part of the house here, and then here, I'm sure you've looked on Google Maps, you'll see the extension, which really kind of finishes the house off. So what I'm going to do is walk around the side and back of the house first, and then we'll come in. So down here, we keep our bins down here in this little sheltered area, but if you're doing any work in the garden around the back, the bin quite easily fits up the side of the house. And this is the original extension part of the house. We're going to find ourselves in here in the utility room in a few minutes. This door here we don't use much. It has deadbolts on it, and we just tend to keep it locked. Occasionally we'll come out of there, but the main access to the garden is around the other side of this path. So let me walk down here. Oh, there's a little squirrel. If anyone's fast, you'll see it. So I'll walk up to the back of the garden. Okay, so you can see my wife has got the area kind of laid out for maximum time in the sun. I'm facing south now. The house is not particularly tall, so we do tend to get the sun from about, at this time of year, about 10:30, and then it moves all the way around to the east. Usually it's pretty much due west about 6 o'clock, so it shines down on the decking, so you tend to get the sun going in the corner of the garden in the first part of the day, and then going into the decking area afternoon and evening. So over here we've got a hut, which is slightly old and rickety, but it's waterproof, and we store our bikes in there and ladders and things like that. There's a kind of underdeveloped area there which doesn't have any trees in it. These are mainly bushes and overhang from this wooded area behind. You could probably quite easily reclaim about another 3 metres of garden space if you find yourself a good landscaper. Kids played here a lot when they're small, and I'll move over to the extension now. As Zaina said, we've done a lot of work here. You see this is a new window here, and this area here by the decking. These bifold doors we put in about 5 years ago, I think. Actually, there was a manufacturing fault on the original doors, which got replaced after 2 years. So there's still a 7-year warranty balance with Anglian on these, although they work perfectly. We also, at the same time, put the decking in here. The sun probably is up somewhat optimistically, I think, for the way things look. Climb up on the deck, and you can also see there's another area to the garden over here. We mainly just use this as a storage area, barbecue. It's not a particularly sunny area, but it does get a lot of sun in the afternoon and later. Maybe someone with green fingers would be able to plant something useful there. Okay, that's mainly the outside part of the house. Zaina, I'm going to go open up the doors and go into the kitchen now. Does anyone have any questions about that part?
I haven't had any so far, but we may need to, at the end of this, kind of ask you to come back around and do another tour of the outside, but it looks great.
Okay, good. Well, hopefully
fresh cut grass as well.
They haven't all. Yeah, that was my to-do list yesterday.
No, they are still all here, don't you worry.
Oh, okay, that's good. So the doors are really light and easy to use. Just, you can move them with your fingers. They've got these kind of little fasteners on them. You just open them up, turn them around, pop it back in, and then you can fold the whole door back quite easily. And I'll stick back out here. So as you can see, it kind of creates a kind of outside, inside space. Being Scotland, we often organise barbecues, and then the weather goes a little bit like it is just now. I can just about feel it starting to come down, and we have to quickly relocate people inside. It wouldn't be the first time that I've actually ferried burgers and sausages from the barbecue outside and had people stand under the shelter here. So that feature works particularly well in Scotland, not necessary where you come from, Zaina, I guess.
Yeah. So just to confirm, so obviously this rear extension here and what was added on, you guys didn't, this was how it was when you bought it. You've obviously just then carried out upgrades to it, but it hasn't been anything that you and Moira, as the homeowners, you guys added in since you purchased it. It was really just the improvements you made were to the windows here and to the doors.
Yeah, interestingly, the house, all the original deeds, plans, architects' designs for the original house built in 1959 are in a folder, as are the plans for this extension, which was built, I can't remember the date, sometime in the mid-80s. When we moved in, this was pretty much underutilised. It was kind of used as a family room. And this area where the doors are now was actually a window, same width, but there was a small wall there about 2 feet off the ground. So when these doors were installed, basically that small wall was removed, and then the doors fitted in there. And at that point, we had all the insulation redone. We stripped the walls right back. All the supports for the ceiling were checked, and then we installed this kitchen in here, which has really transformed the house. You know, our kids have been here since they were in primary school, so this has really been the family hub. And actually, even though they're a little bit older and more difficult to feed these days, we still, as a family, gather around here. So it's kind of got the kind of appliances you would expect: dishwasher built in, 5-ring gas hob. We've got these matching AEG microwave oven grill units. The fridge freezer I'll just open up. This is a John Lewis fridge freezer, which is kind of split about, I don't know, what is that, 60-40 between fridge and freezer. And there's a little storage area with some tatties up there on top. And I think that's about it for the kitchen. The whole extension was rewired. New radiators have been put in right through the house in the last 3 or 4 years, just to make sure everything's modernised to the same standard. And I think that's about it.
Perfect.
Anything else worth pointing out, Zaina? I think we're okay here.
I think that's good there. Yes.
Okay. So from here, we're in the kind of corridor. We're still in the extension. This door space here is the part where you leave the extension and go into the main house, but the floor runs straight through. It's a matched kind of acacia style wood all the way through, so it doesn't, you don't get any sense that you're moving from one part to the other than the ceiling height changes. But I'm only 5'8", so it's never been anything that's particularly bothered me. Okay, here's downstairs bathroom. I always find it hard to get particularly excited about bathrooms. It has a sink. It has a shower, so this is an electric shower, pretty powerful. It has a wee kludgy. It has a towel rail. And just all the things that you would...
David, I'm going to ask, I know this is very weird, and it's just mainly because we've been doing them kind of on virtual viewings. And so if we do have any viewers that are maybe shielding or can't come in or even come in as quickly, would it be at all possible to even turn on the tap, flush the toilet, and if you aren't going to damage your phone, even just to turn on so that people can see the water pressure, if that would be okay?
Sure, yeah, let's do that. So what I'll do is I'll put the light on because there's a big cloud that's come across. And that's the electric switch for the power shower. Now, I hope you realise, saying I'm going to get a soak in here because this is pretty fierce. Oh no, I got away with it. So it comes on, and it's one of these things that is, because it's an electric shower, it's incredibly warm very quickly. Mm-hmm. That's I don't like a warm shower, to be honest with you. So it all works.
That's a walk-in shower unit, and it's not one that kind of closes around you. Great, perfect.
Yeah, it's got this kind of glass enclosure here, and it's got a kind of part here to walk on and then shower in. We've got one of these little fancy tap things here.
Good.
The house has got a combi boiler, which I can show you next door. So pretty much 100% hot water on demand. I'll put these out, and right on cue next door, you've probably seen in the brochure, we got the utility room here, which, when having brought up kids, has been an absolute godsend. Little Bavarian artifact there. Let's shut the door behind me. So, okay, I'll start over here. So that's the corner with kind of just some shelving. That's the combi boiler. We've got a little beer fridge thing here, a space for a tumble dryer and a washing machine. These cupboards, and we keep a freezer under here, one of these just old deep freezers for emergency bread and meat and fries and that kind of thing. So we've got here these covers now. I meant to measure these. They're actually quite deep. I'd say that's getting on for about 75 or 80 centimetres. So they go right around the corner. I mean, as you can probably imagine, it's full of stuff that we've forgotten why we have it. Yeah. So and I keep kind of power tools and old.
It's very organized. It's very good.
Pain. Yeah, do you know, obviously my wife has done much more to prepare the house than I give her credit for. I hadn't looked in there previously. So it's a good job everything didn't fall out on top of me.
Absolutely. And so can I just double check in terms of the white goods in the utility room, will the kind of washing machine be left or in the tumble dryer, or will those both be taken away, or?
I think we would, unless someone specifically wants, I think we would expect to take the tumble dryer and washing machine with us.
Okay.
Of course, there's not an awful lot that we would take other than the furniture and those things. Certainly not the light fittings, not the blinds, not the curtains, not the any appliances from the kitchen. Those things will all stay.
Great. And then,
but I mean, if someone especially said, "I'd like something," of course, just let us know and we can have a think about it.
And one more, would you mind showing us the boiler again, just in case anybody wants to see it?
Oh yeah, sure, no problem at all. There you go.
Right. And this was, you guys haven't installed it, or you guys didn't replace this since owning it, is that correct?
No, we have a service contract with Scottish Gas. They service it every year, so I mean all the reports are there. I do believe it's getting closer to the end of its parts supply life. So I would imagine at some point in the next few years that would need to be a consideration.
But that's the combi boiler, and that basically heats up both water and the heating in the house, is that correct?
Yeah, it does hot water and central heating. And just while we're on the topic, I walk through to the dining room. You can see here on the wall this thermostat unit. You can see that it's one of these digital things. So actually, we control the heating with our phones. It's called a Tado. I think there are 3 or 4 brands of very similar products. So the heating's controlled by an app.
Great. And does that separate in terms of upstairs, downstairs, or is it room by room, or?
No, it can do. You can see that we've upgraded all the rooms to more modern boilers. For about 25 quid a piece, you can change the valves on the radiators, and then they become part of the network.
Great.
But we never really had a need to do it. It's quite a well-insulated house. So I've kind of come into the main house just now, where you can see things. One reason why the house is really well-insulated is every wall in the house is brick. So if I walk over to the cupboard here, it's brick. The partition walls, they're all brick. So it's really well heat and sound insulated. This is my wife's fancy wallpaper. So we've got a dining table in here. It's a nice dining room. It's got a middle leaf. We can get that out to 6 people comfortably. I would say if you wanted something to seat more than 6 people regularly, you're probably going to have to be very friendly with whoever you invite for dinner. But 4 to 6 people and a few candles and a bottle of wine is pretty comfortable in here.
Great.
And also under the stairs here, we've got a pretty huge cupboard. I did mention the guitars earlier, and apologies that the cupboard is temporarily full of guitar stuff. It's actually much deeper than it looks. If you see that edge of that shelf, it goes back about the same distance again. Behind the assorted guitar crap in there, actually I've got a huge laser printer that I use for work. So that's probably, yeah, the cupboard is the depth of that wall.
The wall.
It has a kind of staircase that comes down to just cut off.
Great.
Okay, and this in here is pretty much where I live. I think this is listed as a home office bedroom 4. As you can see, it's about 3 to 3.5 meters. I think more than 3.5 meters. So it's quite square, but it's quite spacious. So I work over there, and when I'm not working, I'm either over here or over here. When we moved into the house, believe it or not, this was actually the kitchen. And what is the kitchen just now was a large, fairly underused room. This John Lewis sofa here actually folds out to a double bed. So we use that as a kind of overflow when we've got guests. So this pulls out and it reaches, just touches the edge of this cupboard. So that's a normal sized double bed that pulls out and fits in that space. So if this did have to be used as a bedroom, you could quite comfortably get either a large single or a small double in here and still have some considerable room for other things.
Oh, that's just gone off the recording. Hold on just a second, Dave. There you go.
Apologies,
back on.
that was...
No, you're fine. Good emoji.
Yeah, I tried to point and accidentally swiped the thing off the screen. So, yeah, this is really, the garden and the home office, particularly in the last 3 months, have made such an unbelievable difference to have the space to work. And quite often, if it's nice, actually, we'll just leave here and go sit out in the garden. But if I do want to work in here, as I said, the sun comes round before lunchtime in the summer, and this room gets pleasantly warm, so you tend not to have to heat it if you're working at home all day. The only wall, incidentally, if anyone is interested in the whole house that's not solid brick, is this wall from about here to about here. I believe in the original configuration of the house, this was the dining area, and there was an archway which went through to the living room. So in theory, if you didn't need this as an extra private room, you could always quite comfortably knock that through into one single large space. Okay, let's go out here. So we're now back almost where we started. I forgot to mention, actually, the front door's quite new. It's less than 2 years old. So it's a really modern door with all these deadlocks and things on it. And this is the living room. So normally you would come in the front door and just turn left into the living room. So behind this fireplace.
Oh, hey, David, it's just gone quiet just for a minute.
Which is just a small. So we put this in. There's a little convection heater. Of course, all that will stay, but I don't think we've ever had it on.
So sorry, the line had gone just a bit paused just there. I think as it was kind of reconnecting over to the network. Are you able just to reconfirm that about the electric fire there just in the lounge?
Yeah, we decided to just put this kind of decorative electric fire in. There is a real firing chimney behind. And before we put that in, I mean, we would regularly get the chimney cleaned and serviced. We didn't use it, but we thought we should get it cleaned at least once a year. So it's there if someone wanted to open up, you could probably quite comfortably put in a stove or a coal burner there, a wood burner, excuse me. And all through the house, you've probably seen we've got the same acacia style floor. It is an engineered wood, but we were assured when we bought it that it is the kind that could, in theory, be skimmed a couple of times by a few millimetres if necessary, although we've had it for about 7 or 8 years and it looks close to perfect, especially if you give it a little clean up. So we've got a little under the stair cupboard there. There's not much to see. It goes back under the stair. The electric box is in there. It's got the breaker fuse thing, so if anything ever goes wrong, you just go in and reset it. Just not coincidentally, but while we're on the subject, just there, recently the power company moved the gas and the electric meter outside, so no one has to come in the house to read the meter anymore. In my opinion, the strangest feature in the house is a little cupboard. Of course, like everything, it's made of brick, and it's a really nice little cupboard. At least it is today. When you've got people like me and my two children in there often with their shoes lying everywhere. But for some reason they chose to put a little window in the cupboard. I guess maybe someone had a fear of being locked in a cupboard when they were small or something, I don't know. So.
David, do you mind
okay, so that's downstairs. Yeah.
Could I ask a question? So in the home report, it points out that there's a mixture between double glazing and single glazing in the property. Are you able to point out which of the windows has some single glazing on it?
Yeah, it's kind of, there's an older window here in the dining room.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's not really single glazing, it's actually a double pane. So it's a very quite primitive form of double glazing, but actually the reason we've never changed it is because it's warm, and it's quiet. So there are basically around the extension, there's this window here and this window here in the hallway. These two windows are the older style, but for example here, oh, there's my wife. Well, we had this replaced. That window there is brand new PVC double glazing. Obviously, the newer doors. What else? Oh yeah, there is one here as well. So that window there in the utility room. Mainly in the older part of the house. Oh, sorry, actually, I guess technically it's not the older part of the house. It's the newer part of the house, given that it was. Okay.
That's perfect.
Will we go upstairs now?
Perfect. Yes, that'd be great.
Okay, so carpet here, which is through most, that's only about 1.5 years old, so it's still quite new. At the top of the stairs, we've got a couple of traditional Edinburgh presses. They're quite tall, they go all the way up to the ceiling inside, but they're just basically where you would keep all your blankets and sheets and things like that. Kind of overlooks the neighbour's house a little bit. Usually Eric and Rachel are out in the garden an evening like this, but I don't see them. Neighbours are really nice people. On this side, Eric and Rachel have been there about 1.5 years. Eric is French, but has worked in Scotland for about 10 years, and his wife Rachel is local. They're a lovely couple. So I don't think there's much in the hall other than the cupboard. So when you get to the top of the stair, this is what you see. I'll go into my son's room first. Some of you may see that father and son have got an expensive guitar habit. I think probably of the 10 or so guitars you've seen, that's not everything. We've managed to hide some away. Okay, and it looks exactly like you would expect a boys' room to look. It has this big cupboard, yet again another stone cupboard. It doesn't go full height. It has the kind of ceiling cavity for the stairwell there, but it is very, very deep. It's as deep again after the hanger as you see, and it also goes up as well. My son has the benefit of a nice view of the Pentlands, though probably not the best view. And I'll walk through it now, and we'll have a look at my daughter's room, which, as you can see, is actually, she wanted the same floor as we have downstairs in the rest of the house. And I guess this looks, as you would expect, a teenage girl's bedroom to look, although if you ever had a teenage girl, this is much tidier than a teenage girl's bedroom normally looks. She gets the view out the back side of the house. Beyond the trees there's actually a large wooded area, which is mostly a graveyard, but these days doesn't get used very much. Every now and again you'll hear some pipes playing in the distance, so I guess they do use it occasionally, but it's a really interesting walk, and a lot of people use it as a nice quiet walk locally. On the other side, you can see our neighbour's garden, Janet. She's a nice retired lady. Unfortunately, she's on her own these days. But she's a really funny, humorous, and friendly person. And we've seen a lot of her. Actually, we've been doing her shopping for her and things during the lockdown. So she's a very friendly person. And if you've got noisy children, she's a little bit deaf, so actually it's okay. Okay, and now we've got the bathroom. It's again pretty functional bathroom. So we've got slate tiles on the floor, towel rail. We got these. I'll try and kind of show close up these tiles. We got this done probably about 5 years ago. So it's kind of tiled top to bottom. Bath, shower. Now this shower actually runs from mains, and this is basically now a shower for 4 adults, and it runs absolutely perfectly. We never have any problems with it. You can see upstairs, that's the joint hot-cold water pressure there. It comes through hot quite quickly. It's starting to come through now, so it runs quite well. Again, I'm kind of lost for words when it comes to bathrooms.
It does the job, yes.
There you go. Pretty much, yeah. And it needs to be fairly heavy duty. What's now 4 adults in the same house. So last but not least, just the main bedroom. We are quite fortunate to have this kind of built-in wardrobe area. This cupboard is sticking in here from my daughter's room.
Okay.
And actually we discovered quite beautifully that 2 large IKEA wardrobe hulks will fit in there and leave room for shelves once we put sliding doors in. So it basically looks exactly like a built-in wardrobe, but it wasn't nearly so much trouble as having to do it, and it's what you'd expect. The doors open both ways. Now, I seriously doubt we're going to take this out unless someone particularly didn't like it.
Okay, so that's definitely something that you guys would be happy to leave in there, just...
Yeah, definitely.
Perfect. Yeah. Unless somebody specifically doesn't want it. Okay, that's perfect.
Yeah. And it's quite new. I mean, it's less than a year old, so everything's in absolutely mint condition. The carpet's fairly new. This bed, so you can see both sides, there's a decent amount of room to walk up and down. That's a king size, so maybe that gives you a better idea of the kind of space in the room. It is pretty spacious. Yeah, we like this a lot.
Great.
And that's I've under instructions to point out my wife's feature wall.
She did very
good. So if anyone would like
good
to
gallery.
just, please text my wife and tell her I didn't forget. When you wake up in the next morning, we do have a fantastic view out over the Pentlands, which probably doesn't get much justice on this little phone, but it is pretty nice. Probably nicer in the first couple of months of the year when we get frosty weather and snowy hills. And I think that's us. So, I think that's all we have.
Perfect. Well, if you don't mind, even just what we'll do is if you can actually go back to the master bedroom, and what we'll do is, if you don't mind just doing a slow pan, we can just do a slow pan in each of the rooms. That way, obviously, since we've just done both downstairs and upstairs, what we can arrange to do is, if anybody does have any questions, I've had somebody reach out and just say, obviously, that you've answered the majority of their questions. So that's been fantastic. But what we can do is just do a slow pan so that, just so everybody else is aware, we will be recording this Zoom call. So just after the virtual viewing finishes tonight, by the way, you're one of the best slow panners that I've done. Most everybody just goes through it super quick. So that's been great. Extra skill to add to the CV for sure. But we will be uploading this onto our YouTube channel. And then what we'll do is we'll arrange to send this to everybody who's inquired about the property as well. So that when you are organizing to get prepared to do your in-person viewing, You know, you've got this to reference for any questions or queries that you may have, and also just so that, you know, you're kind of familiar when you're already going around to the house. Just to, you know, kind of reconfirm to everybody, we have set a closing date for the property. So this has been set for next Tuesday, the 7th of July at 12 noon. If you haven't done so already, please do get in touch with your solicitor to ask that they register a formal note of interest in for the property. There are currently 4 formal notes of interest on file. If you don't have a solicitor, and if anybody would like the recommendation of one, please do get in touch with their office, and we are more than happy to put you in touch with someone.
Okay, cool. And I think probably most of this information's in the schedule or online, but if I come back downstairs, if you know the area, then just over to the left there, just less than a mile away, there's the nature reserve and the zoo. We became members of the zoo when we first moved here, and the children were small, but after a couple of years, the animals got pretty sick of seeing us. And if you just go down to the end of the street here, which is only a few hundred yards, just where that car is in the distance, you do a little right turn, left turn there, and that puts you on all the main bus routes. So usually it's about a 15-20 minute ride when it's not too busy, right into city centre. So it's really convenient. And actually at the bottom of the hill there, which is a 5-minute walk, the 100 bus to Glasgow stops just outside the guitar shop, so you can actually leave the house and be in Glasgow in less than an hour, typically, if you're so inclined. Okay.
That's great. So that's perfect. So what we would normally just say on this one is, obviously that's kind of ready there. That concludes kind of the online virtual viewing. If anybody does have any questions, like I said, you're more than welcome to send us a message. Obviously, booking in any in-person viewings, please do if you haven't already done so. Obviously, we were able to start doing them as of yesterday, the Monday the 29th, entering into phase 2. So we do need to organize them on a by appointment only basis. So they do need to be set up individually, hence the reason we're organizing this kind of open virtual viewing, so that we can kind of try to streamline it and get as many people able to kind of see the property, quote unquote, see the property as possible. So if you haven't already, you know, please do get in touch with us and we can set this up. David, I have had somebody reach out just to ask if they can have another view of the kitchen area, if that's possible, if we can
Sure.
that again.
No problem. Let me turn this back around. There we go. I'll walk back through. God, I thought I was finished. I have to do overtime. Okay, here we go. Was there some part of the kitchen in particular? Or?
Just probably maybe just do the rounds again, even just pointing out where the
Sure.
integrated appliances are, and then possibly even just because I think it's such a main focus of the room, even just doing the bifold doors again, just showing people, like, you know, how easy it is to open.
Okay, you're going to ask me to do my slow pan again, aren't you?
Yes, I would, yes.
Okay, right, so I walked in. I can't remember if the measured sizes are in the brochure. I guess they are. It's a huge space to be in. If you look at for example, the space here from between the island and the cooker, quite often in a kitchen, that's where you get stuck with somebody cooking, you can't get past, but there's more than enough room for 2 people here. And it's perpetually light in here. This time of year, I'll come over and open the doors, then I'll go to the appliances. So as I say, it's got this kind of little handle thing that pops in, pops out. You close it, you just pull that and turn it around, and you're done. There's no access from outside. There are keys if you want to lock it, but you know, this is made of steel, so the frame is, so you know, there's no noise, no draft, and no chance of getting in from outside. I'll just pop the other one open as well. It takes a second. So there we go. And I'll just pan around there, and then we can go look at the appliances. People have asked me about things like, I think you asked about what's getting left. I think obviously there's nothing in the kitchen except cutlery and the fruit that's going to be taken. The appliances again, microwave, fairly decent sized microwave.
Clean microwave too. Well done, Moira.
Yeah, she does
Oven.
have very high standards, much higher than mine. I don't know where I'd be without her. So, and I'll just open the fridge and the freezer one more time.
David, can I ask about how long ago did you guys do the works to the kitchen here in this room? Because obviously it looks pretty fantastic.
Yeah, we did it about 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay.
And at the same time, I don't know if I mentioned this, but everything was stripped. We stripped back all the walls. The walls were all properly insulated, and all the building construction was checked. And actually, we have a friend who's a civil engineer. So, for example, we had some strengthening work done above the new doors when they went in. So all that, those certificates exist if anyone wants to look at them.
Perfect.
So it's in pretty good shape. It was all rewired. And if we step outside, you can see the benefits of the rewiring is we've now got power points here, security lights. We have down lights up here. So at night you can put these lights on. They give quite a nice effect, even if you're staying inside. They kind of backlight the doors and the blinds, so it's quite good. And I think, did we see dishwasher before?
Perfect.
Bosch dishwasher, and of course the rubbish goes just there next to it.
Great. And so is there actually an outdoor tap? I meant to ask that from the rear garden.
There is, yeah, we do. We've got two. Actually, there's one just here where we've got hose attached to.
Oh, great.
And there's another one up beyond the side door. So if you want water at the front of the house, then we have a tap up there as well.
Great. And then I think the other question was to ask, or just to reconfirm, so is there one PowerPoint just on the other side of those doors there to the right-hand side, or is there more than one PowerPoint back here?
On the outside, you mean?
Yes. So
we have this PowerPoint here. The main distribution is actually under the deck there. So if anyone wanted to add any more, it can be done from just under the deck, and there's a side hatch just below. But it's not, the place was wired properly. So, for example, I don't get technical, but I did used to be an electrician briefly before I went to university. That it's not a spur from inside. It's actually the outside lights, the power for the deck and so on. It's all been rewired from scratch in the last, whenever we did it, 6-7 years ago.
Perfect.
What year are we in now? 2020.
2020, I know.
Yeah.
All ready for it to keep going. Perfect. And then I think maybe just do another pan of the utility room just to kind of do the flow of down here.
Sure.
Because again, if anybody does have any other questions or wants to see any other additional angles of the house or other views of the rooms, we did have a couple of people that have just joined up with us. I have sent you a private message over the chat feature just to let you know that don't worry, we have recorded this entire Zoom call. So as soon as we are able to upload it onto our YouTube channel, we will ensure that we are sending you out a link so that you guys can go back in, and we'll also, anybody else who's joined in will be able to send it over to you as well. But David has been extremely thorough, covered everything there, probably everything and more. And obviously as well, just any questions, or if you do want to do an in-person viewing, if you haven't already scheduled one for later this week or the weekend, please do get in touch with the Warner's office and we are happy to help.
Yeah, although you missed all the good jokes, so.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah. So, okay.
That's great. So
that's about it for a utility room. It's actually quite a decent size for a utility room. Again, I should have these measurement stands, but I don't. One thing I would just add as well, I mean, obviously you saw my office here. I do work from home, so times for viewings can be pretty flexible, even if it's during daytime. It's not a problem.
Perfect. And you mentioned the measurements for the utility room. I've got that. It's 2.9 meters by 2.4. So obviously then we've got the additional built-in storage cupboards and stuff as well there. So it is a very, very sizable room. And obviously you said that then also has the access to go out to the rear, to kind of the side entrance, but that's not a regular entrance and exit that you guys use. You usually just leave it dead bolted.
Yeah, we don't normally use it. There's just such easy access front and back now that. But until we put those doors in, actually, in the early days living here, that was unfortunately the only way to get to the garden, which was a bit of a drag. But
perfect. That's wonderful.
It's rarely used now.
Great. So again, guys, if you do have any questions, thank you so much, David. And thank you so much, obviously, for just getting that set up. Somebody did ask just obviously how they can set up like a kind of in-person viewing. Again, all you need to do is just get in touch with the Warner's office. You can email us at property@warnersllp.com. You can phone us. Our telephone number is 0131-662-4747, or you can send us a Facebook message. And I've got everybody's details here. So anybody who was tuned into this or has requested the details, we will be sending you a link of this and we will get you booked in for an in-person viewing. But just like I said, they need to be on an by appointment basis. So we'll keep David busy. Second job. There you go. So professional Zoom. Yes. So again, thank you so much, David, for doing that. And we really appreciate it. And yes, you guys have a great, everybody has said thank you. So you guys have a great evening and we'll catch up soon.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Dana. That was great.
Bye. Have a great night.